Hello friends, welcome back to the League of 72, and we're going to be grading every club in League 2. We're actually going to be grading every club in the EFL, and if you don't want to miss out on League 1 and the Championship, then make sure you subscribe to the channel. Also, this is just a bit of fun. It's the halfway mark, so any marks that you're not happy with, of course, let us know in the comments below, but no, this is just incentive and motivation to allow these clubs to soar up the league and prove us wrong. Right, let's dive into it, starting, of course, with Barrow. So for Barrow, it's a C. 22 points, they're in 19th place, and let's be honest, the main thing when it comes to League 2, and when it comes to Barrow at this moment in time, as they look to progress as a football club, is for them to stay in the league. Only 23rd and 24th, of course, go down in League 2. So at the moment, if they can stay away from a scrap, and at the moment, at the time of recording, they're currently 6 points clear of the relegation zone, that would have been the remit. So they're doing what is needed right now. Also, great scalp in the FA Cup against Ipswich Town. They've got Barnsley in the third round. Could go on a bit of a run there. So if they get survival and a nice juicy cup run, which brings in a little bit of money, and happy days, that goes up to a B for me. For Bradford City, it's going to have to be a D, I'm afraid, at this moment in time. The expectations were really high at the start of the season. It's a huge club, Bradford City. Average gates of around 15,000, so being 16th will be really disappointing for them so far. Derek Adams will be no doubt frustrated with the lack of goals that Bradford City have scored this season. You've got Andy Cook as their top scorer with 7 goals, but he's been out since the 30th of October. So this D is one that could really move on, because they're going to want to make a promotion push, and if they get Andy Cook fit and firing, then this team will start to score goals. I think with the expectations of Derek Adams, you're expecting a little bit more from the Yorkshire club, and it's a disappointing one. But the fact that they're only 7 points off 7th place at the moment gives them hope, surely. Bristol Rovers, C. A couple of weeks ago, I don't think I was expecting to give them that kind of mark, but they're starting to grow into themselves. After Bristol Rovers' relegation last season, Joey Barton had a big job in his hands and made a hell of a lot of changes and transfers at the start of the season, and it wasn't working initially. They were only picking up 2 wins from the opening 9 league games. Since then, Joey Barton and this Bristol Rovers side have done brilliantly to stop that snowballing run of bad results and get some really good wins under their belt as well. Great win against Northampton, a 2-1 win there, who are second in the league so far this season. A 1-0 win against a very difficult Harrogate side, and a 3-0 thumping of Carlisle recently. The one thing that they need to be careful of, and they need to change if they want to get themselves right up the top of the division, is to stop conceding so many, conceding 1.6 goals per match so far this season. Carlisle United, it's a D. It's a stark contrast from the great start to the season they had last year. Carlisle last season put an excellent run together under ex-boss Chris Beach, and it was only hampered by COVID issues alongside some injuries to key players that meant that their playoff push kind of ended by December. This season, in stark contrast, they've really struggled so far this season and find themselves in 21st position. A big reason for this is the fact that their key midfielders haven't been firing for them like they were last season. John Mellish, a former centre-back turned midfielder, registered 11 goals for Carlisle United, and Callum Guy was also crucial, providing 14 assists from defensive midfield. Now, both of them this season, Mellish has only scored 3 goals so far this season, and Callum Guy is yet to register a single assist, leaving Carlisle United with the least amount of goals scored in the division. Colchester United, C. Colchester currently sit 20th in the league, which is exactly where they finished last season. They're even actually averaging the same amount of points, 1.1 points per game at the moment, so they haven't regressed, but they haven't progressed either. The next step for Colchester is definitely working towards their threat going forward. At the moment, they're only scoring 0.9 goals per game this season, which is amongst the lowest in the league, and it's definitely holding them back from getting anywhere near the playoffs under Hayden Mullins. Crawley Town are going to give them a C, comfortable in mid-table. So a mid-table outcome looks likely for John Yem's side. Please don't ask him that in an interview or how he feels about that, because he's a winner. And we know that, right? Last season, Crawley Town finished 12th, which was great. And I'm sure that the aim was, of course, to push on from there. 8 new faces came through into the Broadfield Stadium. And actually, 26 players have been used so far this season, which is too many, really, when you're looking for consistency and growth. So a lot of moving parts at the moment. That said, it's a very congested mid-table at the moment, so they could push on, but I'd be surprised. Exeter City, B+. They're playing some really lovely attacking football this season. 32 goals so far this season. That's 1.5 goals per game, which is a fantastic return for them as well, and it's so congested. Yes, At the time of recording, they're 7th in the league, but that could change by the time this video comes out because it's so tight, and at the moment they're only 3 points off 3rd place at the moment. They finished outside the playoffs last season in 8th, so I'm kind of tempted to give them an A because they have done so well in terms of the points that they've accrued so far this season. But the last 3 or 4 game weeks, they've started to struggle just a little bit. Got to give a mention to Matt J, who's been fantastic last season and again this season as well. Has scored 10 goals already and is no doubt going to be bypassing the PB that he got last year of 18 goals. Forest Green Rovers, A++. Is that allowed? We're going to give it to them. The best team in the league so far by a mile. FGR are by far the most dominant team in League 2 this season. Their first team have reached over 40 goals, 43 goals at the time of recording, which is symbolic for how expansive they have been going forward this season. They've only had 2 losses so far this season as well, and I think most people are tipping them to go all the way and become champions. The front two of Jamil Matt and Matt Stevens has been something that we could talk about forever on this channel. I'm sure we will at some point. Both scoring 13 goals so far this season. That's 26 goals as a pair, which is more than 12 other teams in League 2 just by themselves. Nicky Cadden as well has been on fire for them. They're looking just fantastic, really. And finally, Rob Edwards deserves huge praise. He's taken a team that finished 6th last season and turned them into a ruthless goal-scoring, match-winning team. Harrogate Town, A. In what is their 2nd season in League 2, Harrogate are going from strength to strength and should be really proud of what they've achieved so far as a club. They currently sat 10th in the league last season. Of course, they finished 17th, so the remit this year would have been to look to improve that position, sure, but again, just to stay in League 2. But the achievement of what they've done so far, it's one of those where I'm going to give them an A, and they deserve an A, but I think even the fans and the players and the managers might be a little bit disappointed with the recent run of results because they started off like a house on fire. It's also interesting to see how they play. They play with the 4-4-2, yet despite that, what system, which is often seen as quite a rigid system, they've been able to score goals. 1.6 goals per game whilst playing that 4-4-2 has been pretty impressive. Simon Weaver deserves huge credit, and it shows what you can achieve when you stick with a good man. Hartlepool United, B. Mid-table and safe. Hartlepool have been dealt an unlucky hand, really, because Dave Chandler leaving an attractive proposal with Stockport County in the National League has left Hartlepool, I guess, trying to kind of figure themselves out again. But he left them in quite a good position, which is why they get themselves the B. It is really sad because you do wonder just what Dave Challoner could have done. He was doing a very admirable job for Hartlepool, and who knows if they could have punched above their weight and got themselves into those playoff places. But barring an absolute disaster, they should be playing in League 2 again next season, which was the remit at the start. They should be absolutely delighted with where they are at the moment. And at the start of the season, I think on Christmas Day or the 1st of January, you would have taken the spot that they're in right now if you're a Hartlepool United fan. So it's a B for me. They still totally deserve that, and it'd be interesting to see how they get on in the second half. Leyton Orient, I'm going to give them a B+. The fact that they're not in the playoffs just makes them miss out on getting an A. I think it's been really enjoyable watching Leyton Orient this season. They're a bit of a throwback in terms of how they play, but it's old school, and I think often sometimes we miss that. You know, the front two of Harry Smith and Aaron Drinan up top, big man, little man, has really worked for them this season, but also that use of wing backs, you know, in particular, of course, Thomas James and Archibald. Archibald has been involved in 10 goals so far this season, 4 goals and 6 assists. Thomas James has been involved in 8, 4 goals and 4 assists. So the attacking roles of those two wing-backs, plus getting those balls into the box for the likes of Harry Smith, has been really enjoyable to watch. They currently sit in 9th place, just a couple of points off the playoffs. So this is just possibly a springboard that could get them into the playoffs and get them that A star that they so richly want. Mansfield Town get a B, better than last season, and they're starting to put together a nice little run. So Mansfield aren't a team that go out and spend loads and loads of money, so they have to kind of make do with the players that they can bring in and make it work. And the fact that they've been able to do that so well in the second half of this first half of this season is a real compliment to Nigel Clough, and the fact that they stuck with Nigel Clough, because it's been a really patchy season for Mansfield. They were really struggling at one point. I think it was 12 games, 11 games where they hadn't won a game in the league. But now to be just 4 points off the playoffs is absolutely incredible, and just shows again, sticking with someone that you know is a good manager, they will find a way to get results. And 7 of the last 8 have been wins for them. They now find themselves propelled up the league, and if they can continue this form and stay away from injuries, they've got a chance of getting themselves in the playoffs, surely. Newport County, who have gone from a C to a B, now to an A. James Rowberry had a really tough task on his hands taking over at Newport County, taking over from a Rodney Parade legend in Michael Flinny Flynn. But he's done absolutely brilliantly in his first managerial job. To go to Newport County, who were 13th in the league when he arrived, and in 2 months take him into 6th position is pretty astounding. Since taking over, his win percentage is 45%, and I think the most exciting thing is just how much he is getting out of Dom Telford at the moment. Player of the month for November and December. He's scored 14 goals from 13 starts. He's absolutely firing and may well be the best player in League 2 at the moment. Great turnaround for them, and a managerial change that at the time we thought wasn't going to be the one that's going to work when you lose someone like Michael Flynn, but it's turned out pretty well. Northampton Town, A+, second best team in the league. They've gone under the radar, massively so. And they find themselves in second position with a bit of breathing space to third. And they've just done brilliantly. You know, they're so hard to beat. And it's the defence that's really taken them up to the heady heights of second place. Currently on a run of 5 unbeaten. 4 wins in those 5 as well. 10 clean sheets so far this season is absolutely fantastic. They've only conceded 17 goals this season, which is the second best in the league. And also going forward, they got that little bit of quality as well. Mitchell Pinnock has been fantastic in terms of chance creation for Northampton as well this year. You know, 1.7 key passes per 90 and 5 assists from the winger. He's been absolutely firing for him. Oldham Athletic, D. It has to get better if they want to stay up. Oldham are a side that have never fallen out of the Football League, and they need to improve pretty fast if they want to get themselves out of the mess that they're in at the moment. Currently find themselves in 23rd position, 3rd points off safety at the time of recording, and of course it's got to be a great concern to the Greater Manchester club. The problem is, of course, as you would expect, a team down the bottom not scoring enough and conceding too many. At the moment, they're conceding 1.7 goals per game, so nearly 2 goals per game. They're so leaky at the back, and in terms of going forward, they're only creating 1.2 big chances per game. So if they don't take that one big chance that they have per game, it's most likely that they're coming away with no points at all. Port Vale, A. In with a great chance of automatic promotion. Port Vale are just 1 point away from 3rd at the moment with a game in hand on Sutton, so they look in a strong position to get that automatic promotion place, if not higher, if they can carry on the great run that they've got so far. They're a very solid side, Vale, which I think gives them a really good chance. I don't think there's going to be sort of too much up and down in terms of their results, because yes, they're solid, but they're not a defensive team at all. They have the 5th most touches in the opposition's penalty area, and they've suffered the 2nd most amount of fouls in the league as well. Got to shout out Tom Conlon, who's been a fantastic player for Vale this season. The attacking midfielder often decides matches with his technical ability. 6 assists so far this season in League 2. He's also made 37 successful dribbles, which is a success rate of 64.9%, which is pretty impressive. Rochdale, C-. Expected a lot more from them this season. Rochdale have slipped down the league recently, which is really disappointing to see because the squad's good enough for a playoff push and still could, of course, get themselves into the playoff places. You know, with the likes of O'Connell, you've got Liam Kelly, you've got Jake Beasley. Those kind of players, you would have thought that they had the playing staff to make a solid push for the playoffs. But at the moment, it hasn't happened so far. It hasn't clicked as of yet. It's quite interesting because Rochdale have the 2nd highest XG in League 2 with 33.75 XG goals this season, but they've only scored 30 this season. Add to that some silly errors defensively as well, and it does hint at a slightly underperforming squad. Salford City, C-. Literally the same thing I said about Rochdale just 30 seconds ago. At the time of recording, they have the exact same points as Rochdale, and they should be much higher up the league, just like them as well, considering the investment that's been made on the playing staff year on year. The big problem for them is that they're over-reliant on Ian Henderson's goals. The 36-year-old scored 17 goals last season. However, this season, he's only played 7 times, and therefore not scored many. He's only scored 2 in the process so far. As a result, Salford has struggled for goals this season. The top scorer so far is Matty Lund, who's got 5 goals. And however, again, it's another one of those which could turn around if they could possibly buy another prolific striker in January, or get someone like Tom Elliott scoring consistently for them. They could make that playoff push. Scunthorpe, D. Struggled a lot this season, which isn't surprising really. Scunthorpe currently sit bottom of the Football League at the moment. This was something that I think a lot of us expected. Finished 22nd in the league last year. But this year, it's been very, very difficult for them. Scunny have only won 2 games all season, the last victory being on the 23rd of October, a 2-1 win against Crawley. And so if you're only going to win 2 games in the first half of the season, you're going to find yourself probably bottom of the division. The biggest problem, I think, or the most difficult element for it is this is a very young squad. It's the youngest squad in League 2. So that makes it harder for them as well. The positive, however, is that they are just 3 points away from safety at the moment. So it's in their own hands. And with 4 draws on the spin, if we can turn a few of those draws into victories, there's no reason why Scunthorpe can't stay up this year. Stevenage, D. Don't score enough goals and are too reliant on Elliott List. Stevenage currently find themselves just above the relegation zone on 19 points, 3 points ahead of Oldham in 23rd. The big worry, I think, for Stevenage is the lack of goals. Only 16 goals so far this season. The other thing with that, as I said at the start, was the amount of goals that Elliott List have scored from those 16. He's scored 8 of these 16 so far, so he's scoring 50% of Stevenage's goals. So that means that other players aren't chipping in at the moment, and as we head into January, if Elliott List was plucked from another team and wanted to be bought and was bought for a good fee, or if he got injured, you just wonder where the goals are going to come for Stevenage. Sutton United, A+. Plus. Unbelievable. Sutton United are direct and effective and exciting to watch. They've made the fewest total passes out of any League 2 team this season, but that's not a bad thing if you're scoring goals and winning games, and that's what they've been doing. Took them a few games to acclimatise to the division, but since then they've been absolutely firing. For Sutton United to be out of non-league for the first season, their first season in the Football League, and to be on 36 points over Christmas, that is astounding, and they will be playing in League 2 next season, or maybe even League 1. Swindon Town, B+. From the team that passes the least amount to the team that passes the most. Swindon Town's football is completely different to Sutton United, and that's absolutely fine. The great thing is that they have a very clear ethos, and they've been so easy to watch on the eye, and it allows them to get all their ballers into one team. Swindon are the first team to surpass 10,000 passes in League 2 this season. They're averaging 458 passes per 90. The next best is Rochdale with 380 passes, so they're miles ahead of them in terms of that possession-based style of football. And it's very beneficial for the players that they've got. They've got those technical players, you know, the likes of Jack Payne, Johnny Williams, Harry McCurdy, just to name a few. What's great about Swindon, especially after quite a precarious summer, is the fact that they have a very, very clear ethos in how they want to play and an identity on the pitch. That said, with the players that they've got in their squad, I would have liked them to maybe been a little bit higher up the league, especially with the dominance that they have over football matches. And so, for that reason, that's why they haven't got themselves an A just as of yet. Tranmere Rovers, B+. Many people doubted the Melon. Never doubt Mickey Mellon. Never. 2 of the most cliche words in football, solid and experienced, is how we have to describe Tranmere Rovers, but it's not something that's kind of thrown together. It's backed up by the stats as well. The USP of Tranmere Rovers has to be the defence. It's absolutely astounding. They've only conceded 14 goals this season, which makes them have the tightest defence in the entirety of the Football League at Christmas. Tranmere are also the only team in League 2 that haven't conceded a goal outside the box as well, which just shows how well drilled they are defensively. We did a video on the channel actually looking at just how brilliantly they are defensively, and they've been able to continue that on as the weeks have progressed. And when it comes to experience, they really don't lack it. They've got the highest average age in League 2 with 29.1 years per player. Tranmere have done really well this season, and they deserve to be in 5th position as well. The only reason why we can't give them an A is because they've only scored 18 goals so far this season. So, a few more goals, got yourself an A+. And last up, Walsall, C+. Expected a little bit more, but it's okay. There's been some great wins this season. So, it's been a bit of a rollercoaster season for Walsall so far this year. 7 wins, 7 draws, 7 losses in League 2. Prior to the start of the season, I think some people would have hoped that they might have been able to push a little bit higher than the 12th position that they have so far this season, especially with the sort of capture of Josh Labide. You've also got an ex-Prem player in Stephen Ward coming in as well. You would have hoped for a bit more consistency in their performances. It hasn't happened as of yet. However, this is another team that could just spring into life in the second half of the season. So there you have it. Every team in League 2 graded for the first half of their season. Where did we get it right? More importantly, where did we get it wrong? Let us know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button. And of course, subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss the videos that will be coming up on League One and the Championship, of course, as well. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.